and they're in the middle of homeschooling. How are some of the ways that they can become connected with the writing world?
Well, specifically with schoolhouseteachers.com, because that's where I spend most of my time.
Right.
There are a lot of different options there for creating curriculum that we would be happy to partner with you to make available to our subscriber base. As of October of 2013, it was over 11,000 registered users. So that's a lot of families that are, using the curriculum, having that option. If you're already in the homeschooling world, you're already a step ahead of where I was when I started. I had never heard of Charlotte Mason before. I didn't know what a lat book was. I wasn't sure about unit studies. So I just kind of had a learning curve there for a bit with the vocabulary. I can remember emailing my coworker and I said, I really feel silly, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. I said, how does this part work? And she was very gracious and helped me with that. So if you're already in the homeschooling market then and community, that makes it so much simpler that way. Right. You can see what your kids need. What are you creating at home that you can't find anywhere else? Is there an approach to something, a hands-on approach, or maybe science? You found a really great way of explaining the life cycle of a particular animal, or whatever it is. Start there. Start with what's worked for your family, what you're already creating, and then you can kind of go forward from there.
Okay. And would you advise to do some of the things that you were doing, like going to the conferences, finding out some places where you can meet with other people who have that desire?
If you're going to write curriculum commercially, yes, definitely. If you're going to write to sell it on any kind of large scale where you're going to hope to financially come out at all ahead, you're not going to get rich, but
right.
Then yes, networking with other writers is important because you need that community for understanding the marketing, understanding what's already out there, understanding it from the writing point of view. If your goal is to write curriculum to help and bless other families and you're not as concerned with the financial end of it, then I think you can do that without taking the time and expense to go to a lot of the other ones because you can kind of feel your way through it. You can learn what works, learn what doesn't, and you're not putting that kind of financial investment into it that you would have if you were going to launch it as your business.
Right. Okay, so take me from the process as a parent from here I have a binder that I've created a unit study, say, of Alfred the Great.
Okay.
And wow, I enjoyed it so much. I put a lot into it. I think there are some other families that can come. How do I take that from that binder to getting it somewhere published?
Okay. The first thing, and it sounds obvious, but the first thing you need to do is to check it out. Make sure that you didn't make a factual error by mistake. Make sure that you've double-sourced things as best you can so that you're not. Please don't use Wikipedia as your only source. That's not going to work well. It's very easy, and it's a great place to start getting ideas, but it cannot be the only source. So check it out. Make sure it's grammatically sound. Make sure you don't have a lot of typos. Any typos preferably, but we all miss some. And then from there, you need to decide how you want to go forward with it. If it's kind of just a one-unit thing, a place like CurClick that you can self-publish your material as like a PDF document and sell it online might be the best fit. I have not sold through CurClick, so I can't vouch for them personally. Right. I have purchased things from them before.
Okay. So have I.
Yeah, and so they might be a good resource. You can also do them. You can give it away for free. If you make a nice unit study, you can put it online for free. Let other homeschoolers know it's there. It'll get out there. It'll bless people. If you want to develop it a little bit further, then you should contact me and schoolhouseteachers.com because we would really like to talk to you. Maybe this is just one of many unit studies you've made. Maybe you have a passion for the history surrounding Alfred the Great. Maybe you could be a history teacher. We're looking for some history teachers right now. Maybe you could, there's actually two ways that you can partner with schoolhouseteachers.com to produce content. And it is important to note all the copyright to the content that you create does remain with you, except in a few very specific circumstances that we could work out in detail as we would correspond with you. You can join the site as a teacher or as a contributor. And the teachers are solely responsible for all of their own material. They provide it generally on a monthly basis, broken into 4 weekly units. Okay. That's just the most logical approach to that. They teach, right now we have teachers doing everything from pre-algebra, trigonometry, sensory learning for toddlers, everything in between. So you can teach a subject like that. Or if you would rather do something with maybe a little bit more wiggle room, a little less structure to the schedule, you can join as a contributor. And that's how I started with them. The contributors work in a team environment, so you have an option of working together. Something that we create as a team is called Everyday Easels. It's an art appreciation study. Each piece of art we study for 10 days. I am not particularly gifted in the field of art study. When I look at a picture, I want to know the story behind who painted it or created it. I want to know about the time period. The history part of it interests me. The brush strokes really don't make any sense to me one way or the other.
Right.
There are some very gifted people who have a wonderful knack for explaining that. They write those sections of easels. I write history parts, or I write an English assignment based on a piece of art.
Right.
So that way we can work together without one person being solely in charge of art appreciation.
Okay.
So that's something that the contributors can do that the teachers generally do not. Now the contributors are also allowed to make their own units. That's totally up to them. There's some overlap between the contributors and teachers, but there's generally a little bit more freedom on the contributor side to bend with the schedule a little bit.
You're now a teacher, considered a teacher on schoolhouseteachers.com?
I'm actually both, plus an editorial assistant. So
That's what I thought I was getting to,
Yeah.
is that you're also in a capacity of an editor as well.
Yes.
Very good.
I still write on the teams. I write an Asia history course as a teacher, and then I work behind the scenes in the editorial work, help load the material, recruit teachers, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, well, when we come back, I want to go over, again, take the process for a child, for a parent, also guiding a child into this love of writing. But before we do, I think we could go a little bit more into the Schoolhouse Teachers website, the program,
Yes.
and let people know exactly what it offers and what we would expect if we went there.